More than any supplement, any biohack, any 30-day glow-up routine that you've seen on TikTok, this is what actually helped me to heal from my chronic illness and my anxiety. When I think about my whole journey, healing from an autoimmune disease, healing from chronic daily anxiety that was so debilitating, this is the one thing that really moved the needle enough for me to heal. Welcome back to Mind Body Mel. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Mel. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. I really love to chat about all things anxiety, burnout, self-care, because those are things that I've really struggled with. And today I really want to talk about one of the most important changes that I made on my health journey that's not exactly the most glamorous. This is not going to be what herb, what supplement to take, a 6-week burnout recovery program, though I do have videos on all of those, so you could go watch those next. This week we're going to get really down to the nitty-gritty of it, and I hope that you stick around and listen. I want to talk about the crucial mindset shifts that I had to make to finally be free of my anxiety and my chronic illness. These are the ways that I held myself back, how I was actually getting in my own way from healing. Now on the other side of things, I do of course have moments where I feel anxious, but I now have the tools to be able to work through those moments. The sensation of anxiety just feels so foreign in my body now that I'm able to identify it right away. Right? It feels like this intruder in my body. So then I'm able to have tools and strategies in place that help me work through it way faster. I used to wake up and from the second that I blinked my eyes open, anxiety was running the show. And for me, my mental health was always wrapped up in my physical health with my autoimmune disease, psoriatic arthritis. I had such severe, debilitating joint pain. I had to strategize when I was gonna go to the grocery store because the rest of the day I wasn't gonna be able to get out of bed. Fast forward to today where anxiety feels like this intruder and I've been pain-free for over 4 years now. Yes, I tried all the things. I was on all the supplements, I did all the biohacking, I did all the really therapeutic, restrictive diets for years. But even with all that, it only got me to about 60% better. And there was part of me that thought, maybe that's it for me. Maybe that's good enough. That's the best that I'm gonna get. Why do I think that I deserve more than that? But these 5 mindset shifts that I'm gonna share with you are what helped me bridge that gap from just feeling 60% better to now where I don't really think about my health on a day-to-day basis in that way. I feel really good in my body, my confidence, my self-worth, they all feel really stable and good. I know people tend to roll their eyes at mindset work. It seems more like the soft science, but if you have ever experienced an unlock from being able to access a new perspective, to be able to see things in a different way, you know what I'm talking about. You know how life-changing that can be. Let me know down below if you know what I'm talking about. I would love to hear what perspective unlocked that for you. All right, I'm really excited to get into it. I hope you stick around and listen to all 5. Grab yourself a cup of tea, get cozy, and let's dive into number 1. I'm gonna start off with maybe the hardest one, but you have to grieve the old you. Something that I used to say, and I hear my clients say it all the time when they first start working with me, is that they just wanna get back to how they used to be. They wanna feel like themselves again. It's a really hard truth, but you will not be that old person again. There is no returning to the person that you were before. Because once you've healed, once you've gone through this journey, you have so many other experiences now that shape and color who you are. It's gonna be a new you. And that brings up a lot of sadness. Maybe even some anger, a lot of feelings around why did this have to happen to me? And it's really important that you let yourself feel all those feelings, not just brush it away with toxic positivity, think about, oh, it could be worse. It could be, but that also doesn't validate how you're feeling right now. Some of the ways that I worked through a lot of my grief was through journaling. I have journaled since I was a child, and it's been just an amazing way for me to take a look at what I'm feeling in that moment and let it out on paper to have that catharsis of releasing it. Therapy, especially with internal family systems, is an amazing way to talk to that part of yourself that's grieving. If that's something that's accessible to you, I find just the more you can surround yourself with a really solid support team that you feel you could be your most honest self with, it's gonna make this process a lot easier and a lot faster for you. Because the truth is, when you are going through something like chronic illness, when you are having debilitating anxiety that interferes with your ability to do your day-to-day life, it does change you. And as much as you might want to be able to take a magic wand and just erase that part of your life, you're gaining a lot of resilience in this chapter and being able to be adaptable. And those are skills and experiences that you're going to take with you on your healing journey and are going to help you grow. So let yourself grieve that chapter that's not there anymore. Know that by feeling those really uncomfortable feelings, you're taking another step forward in your healing journey. Number 2, break up with the identity of being an anxious person, of being a person with chronic illness, of being someone who's sick. One of the worst things you can do is root your identity in the identity of being sick. So if you go around saying, I'm an anxious person, if you make your entire personality having an autoimmune disease and chronic illness, which I'm raising my hand because after I was diagnosed, that was my whole personality. I was going to heal myself. I think I had in my Instagram bio, autoimmune warrior or something like that. I really identified with, this is who I am now. And when I did that, it made it so hard for me to conceptualize that I was anything else. I want you to think for a second. It might not sound like much, but saying I'm an anxious person versus I'm struggling with anxiety right now really changes the way that you view yourself. And again, that's what we're talking about here, is just how you see it and how you're relating to this journey. Over the next couple of days, I really want you to pay attention to the language that you're using to describe yourself. And this is for a lot of things in the way that we describe ourselves, not just physical health or the things that we're going through. Watch when you say, I'm lazy, I'm undisciplined, versus I'm feeling like I want to take it a little slower today. It really releases some of the shame around it. I've really noticed this with clients. My clients that are able to really heal, to progress much faster than the others, are the ones who are able to separate out these identities. They don't just see themselves as anxious. They recognize that this is a part of what is going on in their journey right now, but that doesn't mean that it's forever. It doesn't mean that defines who they are. And I would say the first step of having this mindset shift is to start to really be aware and be disciplined with your thoughts. When that thought starts to pop up, if that's how you start to define yourself, reroute it. Rewrite that story in your head. Instead of it being so wrapped up in you and your anxiety, is there a way that we can separate and create some distance there? Because when there's distance, there stops being so much pressure all on you. Whereas we can look more objectively of what is that anxiety looking like? What is it trying to tell us? What does it need? It gives us that space and that perspective. And I know there's some of you who are thinking this is all semantics. It's not that deep, but I would argue that it is that deep. Often it's the stories we're telling ourselves about our experience that are holding us back. Number 3, it's not about more, it's about less. In the very beginning when I was trying to heal, like I mentioned, I really tried it all. I was doing red lights and saunas and all the supplements, literally dozens and dozens of supplements a day. I was going to a chiropractor, I was doing acupuncture, I went and got a whole master's and a doctorate. I was doing everything. And there were some true root causes that I needed to fix, like mold exposure and iron deficiency and healing my leaky gut. But I truly believe the biggest root cause for me was a dysregulated nervous system. And embracing this idea of less over more is what moved the needle on that. Less overcommitting, less things scheduled in my calendar, more space, less supplements that were really just personalized to me. Carefully choosing just a couple therapies like sauna therapy that I know make a big impact on my health. But I truly can't emphasize enough, as someone who is stuck in fight or flight mode, very anxious, how creating space and slowing the F down, stopping that impulse of that adrenaline where I'm all geared up in fight or flight, to just keep moving and learning how to sit with myself, to let myself be in silence, to be bored, to work on making my nervous system feel really safe. That did way more than all of the other extra stuff that I was doing. It was by doing less that I was able to do more for my health. It's kind of the whole quality over quantity thing. And I know when you're first starting your health journey, you will do anything to again try and feel like that old self again. And now with social media, you have access to what everyone in the world is doing pretty much. So you're tempted to try it all. But the truth is that what somebody else is doing for their anxiety might not work for you. It's so personalized. So that doesn't mean that you need to do everything. You just need to find the right things for you. If I were to go back and start over, what I would change is that I would just pick 1 or 2 things to try at a time instead of trying everything. If I really wanted to use supplements and herbs, I would work with an expert to figure out the right ones for my health. If I wanted to try sauna or red light, I would just pick one of those and do a trial period over a couple of months to see if it's actually working for me. Because that's the other thing, is that when you're trying all these different things, it becomes really hard to know what actually did it, because it's unlikely that all 20 things that you're trying are actually making a difference. It's probably a quarter of that, but you don't know which ones those are. Really embrace this idea of less is more. And if you're looking for some ideas of habits that I find to be super helpful for mental health, you can watch this video next on 10 of my favorite mental health habits. Number 4, you have to let yourself heal. This sounds obvious. Of course, Dr. Mel, I want to let myself heal. I want to heal. That's the whole goal of this. But there is part of you that is clinging to this version of you because it's comfortable. Maybe not physically comfortable, mentally comfortable, but you're in your comfort zone right now because this is what you know. And healing means Again, releasing that old identity, which is scary and it's sad. Healing means doing something different than what you've been doing. Healing means embracing a new mindset, a new way of looking at the world, which is kind of overwhelming. I've been privileged enough to be a part of a lot of people's health journeys, working with clients one-on-one. And something I see a lot where we hit this 50 to 70% of the health journey where things have gotten better for sure, but there's still things that we want to work on. It can become really hard to see how far you've come. And this is why I'm also a fan of journaling, to be able to remember the whole process of things, because you kind of start to forget the things that did get better because you're clinging so hard to the idea of getting back to that past self, or you're clinging to the comfort zone of how things are now. And this also goes back into breaking up with the identity of being someone who's quote unquote sick, anxious, fill in the blank, whatever you're dealing with, where maybe you're so used to having to worry about your health that maybe you've gotten stuck ruminating on it. Where if you took a step back, you would realize, wow, I've come a really long way. There's a couple things I want to work on, but look how far I've come, which means that I can keep going. You have this proof now of how things can change. So allow that to inspire you for how you can continue to change. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate when you take pain from a 10 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. All of those are moving you towards the version of yourself that you want to be. But it starts with you letting yourself get better, letting yourself break up with that identity, letting yourself identify with someone who's healed. And lastly, number 5, you can't wait until you're healed to live your life. Your life is still happening, whether you're feeling anxious, whether you're in pain. You don't have to put your entire life on pause while you're healing. You don't have to say no to plans and going out to a restaurant with friends because you're worried about seed oils. You don't have to avoid that move, that job change, dating, going after what you want while you're trying to heal. This is still your life, so if there's something that you want, go for it. You can do it anxious. You can do it while you're in pain. And one day you're gonna be at a point in your healing journey where you don't have to do that anymore. But don't hold yourself back. Your life is still happening. So make sure you're living it while you heal. If you are currently on a healing journey, whether it's anxiety, depression, mental health, or chronic illness, autoimmune disease, just know that my heart is so with you. It is not a journey I would wish on anyone, but I will say on the other side of things now, I am happy with the person, the new identity that I have today. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about my own resilience, and healing feels really good. I feel grateful to live in a body without pain, without anxiety every single day. And that is all I want for you, to be able to experience that. And I know it's possible because it was possible for me. Keep going. I know this journey can be a lonely one, but I hope this video made you feel a little bit less alone. If you liked this video, let me know down below and make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I post videos every week on the topics of anxiety, self-care, burnout, you name it. I'm also open to any suggestions down below. Until next time, I'm rooting for you every step of the way.